At the end of the job interview, when they say, do you have any questions for us? Whatever you do not ask them these 10 questions. Number 10, what does this company do? Do not ask them this question because they're going to think that you're unprepared and unprofessional. You should have gone on the company's website and figured that out ahead of the job interview. When can I expect a raise or a promotion? If you ask them this, they're going to be thinking that that's all you care about, that you're just in it for money. And maybe you are, but it's a terrible impression to make. 8. Are there any other jobs open? Honey, you've got to convince us that we want to hire you for this role before we go talking about other positions open. 7. Are you going to check my references and do a background check? Why would you be asking this question? It's going to make them think that you have something to hide. Don't ask this. 6. Can I work from home? Listen, you've probably already talked about this, and the reason you're asking is because they're telling you that this is an in-person job, so I wouldn't ask this. Number 5, when can I start taking my PTO? When can I start taking my vacation time? Only people that aren't ambitious would ask this question. Is that the impression you want to make? 4, do you care about the dress code? Yeah, we care about it. That's why we made it the dress code. Why are you asking about getting around policies and procedures before you've even been hired? 3, what's the worst thing about working here? I get it. You're trying to be interesting. You're trying to ask them a unique question. You're trying to get some insight, but they're not going to be honest with you. 2, well, if this interview doesn't work out, maybe you and I can have a drink. I have literally been asked out on dates at the end of job interviews. Enough said. 1, yeah, hypothetically, if I were fired from my last job, would that make a difference? Yeah. What do you think? Bonus tip, the worst question to ask at the end of an interview is, are there any reasons why you wouldn't want to hire me? Why would you ask them this? They're not going to be honest with you. And even if they are brutally honest with you, do you think that you can come up with a persuasive argument on the spot for them to hire you? I highly doubt it. I would never end a job interview on a negative note. Why would you do that? For excellent questions to ask at the end of a job interview, I have linked those videos below. For more tips on how to interview better, follow me and follow me on Instagram if TikTok goes away. You can also get an Interviewology profile to discover your interview style, or you can get my book, Interviewology, The New Science of Interviewing. When you're asked in a job interview, do you prefer to work independently or in a team? Don't panic. Here's the secret. There is no right answer to this question. And some of these questions, like how do you respond when you're stressed out? Are you organized? These are highly subjective questions, and there are no right and wrong answers. When there are no right and wrong answers, the default is for you to be yourself. Be authentic. An interview, in the most basic sense, is a set of questions about you, and the more you know yourself, the better you'll do. And sure, I've heard it all before, the old advice to just tell them what they want to hear, come up with the scripted answers, lie to them, but that is terrible advice, because let's say you know someone that works at this organization, and you know the hiring manager, and you know exactly what they want to hear, so you go in and you give them these scripted answers. But that's not who you are at all. So then you get hired, you get your foot in the door, and then you work there for a couple years and you pretend this whole time to be someone who loves to work on a team. No, that's not the way it works. It's the fastest way to become miserable at your job. If you are pretending, and if you are faking it, and if you are lying in job interviews just to get your foot in the door, you are going to be the one that's miserable at the end. They may figure it out and they may fire you because you're not a good fit, or you may just have to suffer through it and pretend for years, and that is just a recipe for disaster. And I get it. It's really hard to be vulnerable and to go in there and be yourself, because if they reject you, they're rejecting you. But hey, I'd rather be rejected for me and then go on to interview someplace else and find a role where they appreciate me for me, where I don't have to pretend. For more tips on how to interview better, for more tips on how to be more authentic in the interview process, get an Interviewology profile. It will outline the impression that you're making, what's your interview style, and all the things that you need to prepare ahead of your next job interview. At the end of the job interview, when they say, do you have any questions for us? You should say, yeah, why is this position open? In fact, I made a video, 3 impressive questions to ask at the end of the job interview, and it has over 10 million views. And everyone seems to be freaking out that I've told you to ask, why is this position open? Some people have gone so far as to say it might be illegal to ask why Debbie left the organization. It's not. Listen, it's not a secret. You're not applying to the CIA. This is not something that you can't talk about in an interview. In fact, this is one of the most important things you should talk about. Why is this position open? Why am I even here? Why are you hiring for this role? Is it a newly created position because you guys are doing so well and you have so many new clients that you need this position? Or perhaps the person that was in the position before was so great they're getting promoted. This is an excellent conversation starter in interviews. It is very common. It is not a secret. You need to ask this question, why is the position open? And if you don't, if you're resistant to this, if you think it's too much, I would ask you, why are you afraid of asking this question?